Liquorland are proud partners of the Sash for another season of footy. Liquorland have all your drinks for when the siren calls. Joel, there's an interesting bit of paper there in front of you. What do you got there?
Yeah, first time in the studio this year, Rob, and thought I'd go visit our friends at Liquorland for a couple of Trulies.
That is a Liquorland receipt there.
Yep, good nice seltzer at the moment. How'd you go over in Adelaide? Did you find any Liquorlands there?
I did actually locate Liquorlands in Adelaide. They're there as well, which is fantastic to see for our South Australian audience. So we absolutely love that. And I made sure I popped in on my travels. So very happy with the result.
Lovely.
Pop into your local Liquorland today and pick up all your favourite drinks. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly. Let's start the show. We came, we gathered, we braved the rain, and we torched the Dees on Adelaide Oval. This is The Sash, definitely not the official podcast of the Essendon Football Club. I'm your host, Rob, here with you as always, and joining me at Castaway Studio is Mert. Hello, mate.
Hi, mate.
How are you?
Fantastic. Coming off the best weekend of my life, so yeah.
It's up there. And for the first time in the studio this year, Joel is with us. Hello, Joel.
Hello, Rob. Loving the new setup. This is great. Love a bit of screen time myself, so thanks for having me.
Yeah, have you just got your eyes down there on the TV? We can see us all, or you're able to not be distracted by it.
Well, I'm trying to do that thing where I'm looking at the camera, but it's like someone after they've kicked a good goal looking at the replay screen. I'm just constantly looking down there, like, how's it going?
How's it look? How's my hair? How's it hair? Look, awesome weekend. Mert and I made the trek over to Adelaide for Gather Round. Before we get into our story of how it went, just a thank you to everyone who we met over there over the course of the weekend. Met people on Friday, met people all through Saturday, pre-game, during the game, post-game. Everyone was awesome coming up to us, a bit of go planes, just chatting footy. Some people we hung out with all day, some people we only saw for minutes at a time, and yeah, it was bloody awesome. Mert, what did you make of the whole experience of Gather Round?
Oh, it was fantastic. It was a great spectacle, great feel, great vibes around Adelaide. West Lakes is just a great part of the world.
Yep.
If you've ever been there, if you've never been there, you need to get there. Met some incredible people. Semi-formal, sooty. Kingo had a wish list dad.
I met a guy who knew my dad from high school, which was really random.
That was very strange.
That was really strange.
Was that Sash related?
No.
Is that how he...
No. So we were at a lovely pub called the Queen's Head, which is just literally across the road from Adelaide Oval.
Best pub I've ever been to, I reckon, Rob.
Really, really good pub. But so we were there during the Port Adelaide game because we were sick of the rain and decided to leave. And we were sitting outside while Kingo was having a vape, and this guy just comes over and wants to start talking footy with us. He's a Collingwood fan. We start chatting, and somehow school came up. I think we were talking about some player, what school they went to, and this guy was like, "Oh yeah, I went to St Bernard's." I was like, "Oh, my dad went there." He's like, "What's your dad's name?" I told him my dad's name, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know him. We're in the same year level together." I'm like, this is so strange.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah, so
a lot of Adelaide about that.
Yeah,
and it's
Yeah.
Met Packer.
Yeah. So we managed to bump in a few of the boys at the airport afterwards. Had a lovely chat with Will Setterfield in front of Boost Juice. He's massive. Like, I'm almost 6'1", and I felt like a midget standing next to him.
Was he on the Berry Crush, or what's his Mango Magic?
Well, he was. I think he was queuing for it, and we kind of just swooped in while he was queuing. So I didn't actually see what he was ordering. But gee, Boost is popular with AFL players, I've come to notice, because all weekend long I was seeing AFL players with Boost.
I didn't realise there was a Boost there. How did I miss that? I know exactly why I missed that.
You're staring at Paco.
That and the rest.
Yeah, but you got to speak to the great man after I bought it.
I did, and I've been speaking to him all day today as well, and we're best mates now. Yeah, I know Kingo, as we spoke about on Saturday, Rob, and as Kingo has spoken about at length over the years when he's actually been on the pod, he has grand plans of moving in with Nutrat.
Yep.
Obviously in Tullamarine, just across the road from Tullamarine. And I've decided I'm going to have to bail on him because Paco actually just asked me to move in with him.
Oh, in West Lakes? Is that where you're going to live? Or
yeah, we're going to West Lakes.
Are you going to sleep in the same bed?
Yeah, I'm probably not. I would have thought, but
you'll sleep at the foot of the bed.
Yeah, wherever I can get a spot would be great. But that's it. Really has just made my year.
Yeah, there we go. Look, fantastic weekend, so much fun. I think it was a really great event that they run. Like just being on the hill on the Saturday afternoon, like there were so many people who...
Hill was incredible.
There were people who just weren't there for Essendon or Melbourne. Like there's obviously a lot of Port people who were there as well. But people who just love footy and wanted to hang out, wanted to talk shit with people who like footy. And like we'd had people coming up to us who've been like, oh, have you guys come over, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, they're like, oh, yeah, we go for this team and we just wanted to come to watch and we're here to have fun. And like it was a real festival-like atmosphere.
Yeah, like local footy vibes just on the sideline there having a good
Everyone was just there to have a great time.
Yeah.
Like it was just, good vibes.
Yeah, it was the Phil on the hill. So we had a great time. And shout out to Braden, who we hung out with
Braden was
most of the afternoon. He was a great man and we had a lot of fun with him. Let's get into the game though. That's what everyone's here to listen to. Not our tales of gather round. Maybe we'll get back to that later. Question for you, Joel. Where does this win rank for you in the Dons wins of recent era?
I feel like we have had good wins recently and it's hard not to get caught up in the hype of the first 4 or 5 rounds of playing consistent footy. I think if I'm thinking about this against some wins of the past, like we've had some good wins over in Perth in the last few years. We've had a good win against Geelong in the last couple of years, but I think this one felt like we dominated them the whole game and it didn't feel like we got lucky. This really felt like we just outplayed them and we were the better team on the day, not our brand of footy happened to fall into place, for once.
Yeah, well said. What do you reckon, Mert?
Yeah, to be honest, I think the scoreline actually flattered them in the end. I know Clayton Oliver got, I think he had over 15 possessions in the last or something.
20. And, I would arguably say the worst 41 possession game I've ever seen play get, to be fair.
Well, we had, when the game was there to be won, he didn't do anything. And I saw a stat, it's completely unverified, but I'm, true to form, I'm willing to run with it, that he actually had 0 metres gained with those 20 in the last quarter. So which doesn't surprise me if you look at him. So watch the replay again today. Don't think I saw a goal somehow.
Yep.
Despite being on the hill and standing 20 metres from the play. So I mean, I thought it was just comprehensive. For me, the difference was probably the rucks, the 2 big blokes for the first half, and then from there, correct. I thought we really probably just did it enough. We smashed them in that third.
Correct.
Yeah,
0 metres gained for 20 metres.
They must minus meters if he goes backwards.
I don't know how it works.
I think you do. Yeah. So I thought they were the difference clearly in the first half. Second half, I think probably our mids, our pressure a bit more. Third quarter, we kind of started to we were going to take it away from them, and then it got wet basically. So that was it. But I think for me, certainly our best game since Sydney last year.
Yep.
Obviously the second time around against Sydney.
Yep.
And then from before that, probably like I know we had a few good games last year. I wouldn't count Brisbane up there because they were gone with COVID.
Yeah.
I think probably
2021 we had some good wins.
We beat the Dogs when 7-seater Peter kicked 7.
Yeah.
So I think those 3 games in recent history have probably been, all right up there.
Well, what you're saying there sort of leans into something I was sort of thinking is that some of those really great wins that we've had, I feel like they've come on the back of 1 or 2 players having heroic efforts.
Yep.
Peter kicks 7, Paco kicks 6,
yep.
Tippenwoody kicks 8, Parrish has 40 touches, Merritt has 40 and a couple of goals. Like just these huge performances where on the weekend, like everyone was in.
Yep.
There wasn't a weak link in the game. Everyone was doing their bit. And it felt for me like the best team performance that I've seen from our club in God knows how long.
Yeah. And it's actually so nice to be at this position at the start of the season. Like we've been notoriously slow starters over the last few years. And, we've had, it's interesting because, we've had this thing where a new coach comes in and we play good first year and we scrape into finals, but it just feels a little bit different even though it's round 5. And to have been in every single game, obviously, and we were really in the Saints game. They're playing some fantastic footy.
Yeah.
It's really good to see.
Just on that, I'd be interested in hearing both of your opinions on, because I think this is a big one. I was just thinking about it while I was watching the replay today. I thought at the time that that there were a few question marks over our selection with the St Kilda game.
Yeah.
should we have? I don't know. Phillips was. I think he pulled up a little bit sore, but
he was managed, and I read somewhere. I think his wife had a baby that week as well, which might have tied into the whole thing. So
yeah. So, well, maybe that's the answer. But kind of away from that, I thought we really, if it wasn't, then I thought we really missed something by not playing him again, him and Draper.
Yep.
And I thought that could have been a different game. So I think those two guys, maybe not for the rest of the season, because we got Nick Bryan, who played a fantastic game in the twos on the weekend, and he's returning from injury. But I think that's a real potential point of difference. And so far, I think that's probably won us 2 games at least.
Yep.
And it's something we need to kind of, maximise moving forward.
For sure. Phillips offered such a good presence down the line, and that was something we were missing in that Saints game was that release kick from our back 50 or somewhere around there. And on the weekend, he was just clunking him and making a contest, and even in the wet, he was pulling him in. And
how good was the spoil on Stephen May?
Oh, so good.
Stephen May was
he was terrible.
Yeah.
We wiped the floor with him.
Not spoil, sorry, smother. That was the word I meant.
Smother. Yeah.
Like from a ruckman. Yeah. Like how often do you see that?
And took the legs out as well.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Since the Treebeard days.
Yeah, since the Treebeard days. Look, I'm very happy because things that I said earlier in the week were justified. I spoke about a little video I did on Wednesday. I said I think our biggest weapon is going to be Phillips and Draper. We know Phillips is the kryptonite for Brodie Grundy. And then we had more of a chat about it on Thursday when we were here with 80 and when we actually got a word in. Yeah, we actually got a word. But yeah, we exploited them, and I think it's as much as it's absolute credit to those two guys for their effort, is a credit to the coaches in going, this is where we're going to punish them, this is how we're going to make it work. And if Max Gorn was playing, different game. He's one of the best players in the competition, but I think we exposed them. We exposed them with that, and I've never seen Stephen May play a worse game. He's for me the best defender in the game. And watching him just all at sea, not knowing what to do, he dropped to a level that I haven't seen him play since he was at the Gold Coast just about. And I was like,
the Langford goal was great to see.
It was unbelievable.
That was as you know, Rob, I love the word feeble and feeble and meek, 2 great words. Stephen May.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. He definitely was on the weekend. So, I think they're definitely the highlights, those two guys, for turning the game early for us and just being everywhere. And it's just a big weapon to have moving forward. Yeah.
You make a really good point from a coaching perspective. I feel like, Brad Scott's time potentially as, in the AFL role and analysing the game and looking at the trends of the game and seeing where it's going. And you just really notice that he is a coach who thinks about what's happening on the weekend and what the matchups are and how we're going to play and how we're going to beat a team instead of we'll back our system or, we don't have any plan B. And it's just so nice to see that there's some direction out there and that everyone's kind of on the same page. And that's probably the one thing that, even though it's early in the season, probably gives me more hope than I've had in the past.
Well, I think almost immediately, given that we're so early on in the season, it's like this kind of game plan that we're playing and the link-up handball, even in those wet conditions on Saturday, it's really the kind of footy that I'd expected us to be playing under Rutten. It seems almost exactly what he was ultimately kind of trying to pull off with this. Everyone spoke about the forward handball game plan. And it just seems that he carries a much simpler message and he's clearly got that message, conveys it. Again, early stages, we won't get carried away, but it's definitely good signs because everyone just seems like they're playing a simplified version of the game. And you look at our defence, I haven't seen us defend the ground like we did. They weren't able to move it. They were completely stagnant and they weren't able to get through our zone at all. And that was that's remarkable.
Yeah. And you think about when they've played their best footy the last few years, like Premiership year and last year even, that, you'll turn on Friday night footy and they'll be playing someone and you just watch a team just being forced to go long down the line to May, Gorn, whoever's down there. And that's what we were doing to them. And I was like, I can't believe we've flipped it on them.
Yeah.
Lloydie said this morning on the Access All Areas show that he was chatting to an unidentified player at the airport after the game, and they said he said the difference with Brad Scott is that Brad Scott is a coach who's come in and said, this is your role. If you do this role, I will pick you. Brad Scott is not trying to be my friend, which is obviously a bit of a, backhander to the previous who, by all accounts, was a phenomenal person, but didn't actually get what we wanted.
I think that's the big thing though, isn't it? Like, as supporters, we've been crying out for that person who carries the air of authority and, kind of unwavering, unquestionable, which we certainly haven't seen for, I mean, I understand Hurdy was a really good people manager, but yeah, I don't think he was that kind of, necessarily critical when he had to be. Maybe Bomber was more like that. I don't know.
Who knows? And I think at least in the early years, Worsfold spent more time mopping up things than actually trying to do otherwise. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just had to come to a point where the excuses stopped.
Yeah.
I think, and everything we heard from the club, certainly from either of those two head coaches within the space of, 4 or so years was an excuse.
Yeah.
I saw a great quote. No, I'm not sure if it was Jose Mourinho. It was a Premier League or European League soccer coach, and it was defensive system, but attack is flair.
Yeah.
And it just really kind of feels like how we're playing. It's like get the defensive system right, and then when you're going forward, like be flashy, run, get it moving. Use your natural ability and skills. And Scott's talked about, as you said, like that. Like play to our strengths. So it's, hey, as long as we defend and hold this system, then when we're going forward, like you do you and make it work.
I think you bang on there, and it's a great point because there's a point in, I think it's the third quarter, where Archie Perkins, and it sums it up and it doesn't come off and he gets caught holding the ball.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
Paco did it a couple of times as well, but he literally took the mark and his first instinct was, and he takes the mark kind of 35 metres out at an angle, and his first instinct is to take the bloke on. Doesn't know, obviously, how close he is to him, makes a mistake, gets caught holding the ball. Same thing happened with Paco a couple of times, but at the same time, like Paco, that last handball of his, 30-metre handball to Nick Martin in front of him, that doesn't happen if you're not taking the game on.
Correct.
And that has been one of the biggest frustrations, as everyone would know who listens to this podcast, that we've had with our stagnant side-to-side movement for the better part of the past 4 or 5 years.
The Worsfold switch.
Just inviting pressure.
Beyond that. Yeah. And not having that kick down the line out, or that, any kind of long attack, or any kind of capacity to... Not capacity, because we've always had the capacity, but not having any desire or any intent to actually break the lines.
Yeah. And I think we've definitely had players who that is their natural game and that's what they've wanted to do. And maybe, under former leadership, they've been told not to. But, Paco, Tipamudi, Parrish, Shield, those are guys who want to run an attack with the ball. They're not guys who are sitting there going, I want to stand his own. They want to run an attack.
I'll give you a massive one.
At least they're the older guys.
Andy McGrath.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
From the halfback flank, we're seeing where he should have always been played, and we're seeing why that was the case.
Yeah.
But it just takes off. Like, it's so critical, and his kicking is so much better when he's coming out and he's trying to hit up a 20, 30-metre target.
Yep.
And he's just a completely different player.
Yeah. He's been phenomenal. I'd like to talk about our mids. So Zach Merritt is playing as good as he ever has. Lots of ball, laying tackles. Darcy Parish is playing as good, if not better, than his All-Australian year so far. Will Setterfield has come in to balance everything. The big, strong inside mid, going head-to-head with some of the best guys in the competition and winning. And then Dylan Shield, who's winning contested ball, clearances, and then he's added goals to his game. I think this is the most balanced I've ever seen an Essendon midfield group since God knows.
Yeah.
They're firing. They're working for each other. Now, I think the most important thing is that we keep this group together. Sign the contract, Darcy.
Yeah.
Like, we need to keep these guys together.
Yeah. I was a lot through the late part of last year. I was, on the Darcy can go train, but I now love him. He has to stay. He has been so good, and he's now lowering his eyes. Like, he had some very good inside 50s on the weekend as well. And he's chasing defensively. He's getting in there, and he's just so clean. And I think I'm really starting to appreciate how important he is for us this year as well.
Big time.
Particularly in that first half, I noted a few at the end where we're standing at, but there was a patience to his game, which when he was a bit younger, might not have been there, but there was a patience of him knowing that he's got that extra second, which, obviously helps when there isn't as much pressure coming from Melbourne, but taking the extra second and hitting those short options. And, these are just the weapons he needs to get into his game. Like, he almost kicked a goal, just like it just fell short of the line as well.
Yeah.
But he finds the ball incredibly well. And when it got wet, when the ball was on the ground, like going back and watching the replay, there he is on the deck, on his knees, and he's getting it out to Shield, getting it out to Setterfield, getting it out to Merritt, or some of the other guys who've moved into that area as well. He's playing amazing footy, and seeing how we're playing, the vibe around the club, the new direction, I'm hoping that this turn is strong enough to him to forget all the bad turns we've made in the past. And, that he can buy into this. If Brad Scott could convince Tipperary to come back out of retirement, then if we're playing like this, you'd think that Parish is keen to stay, I'd hope so at least, because I think this four, and particularly with Setterfield and Parish and Merritt at 27, and then I think 25 is both 25. This could be, those three guys are the next 4 or 5 years, just about, Shield's obviously a little bit older as well, but if you keep those three guys there before, forget about Shield for the moment, like, who knows what they could do when a Hobbs, when a Caldwell, when a Perkins, when whoever, when a Sardis is in there joining them with them. Like, there are some good big heights these guys could reach.
Yeah, it's critical. It's just so critical that we keep him. Like, just looking at his stats right now, I'll read out a few. First in the league for inside 50s per game, inside 50s, which I think tells you that, it's certainly a different element to his game.
Yeah.
He's kicking the ball forward of centre a lot. Third for centre clearances, fourth for clearances, fourth uncontested possessions, and I've noticed that a lot. He's linking up a lot more. He's offering a short next kick to inside 50.
Which is something probably Merritt was the only one who used to do with that midfield group, but now there's two of them doing it, basically.
Second in effective disposals, third in disposals, fourth in metres gained. Clary could probably take a leaf out of his book, but instead he'll just, I think Saturday's kind of emblematic of Clayton Oliver to a certain level, because he, for such a really good contested footballer, I've never seen someone sook so much. And it was just great seeing him take a few wobbly steps backwards after Laverty hit him.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
He goes to remonstrate on, it was a 50. Laverty hit him late and high. It was a 50. And he tried to remonstrate. I've never seen him bounce off someone like that. I was like, bro, you clean up everyone in the game. What the hell?
He loves just kind of fake pretending to be Arky and just like getting in someone's face and then just not doing anything.
Yeah.
He did it a few times, and then he typically just flops and goes for a free kick, which is, again, bizarre for a guy who, tries to be and is a contested beast. So,
I think
he's a tosser.
I was going to say, I think there was definitely an aura of arrogance about Melbourne coming into that game that I think they just accepted that it was probably just going to happen for them, players and supporters alike.
Yep.
And it just didn't. And I think...
Can we tip on him? Let's start tipping on him.
Yeah, I'll finish my point. But I think as much as this is great result for us, I think this is still a lesson, though, that there's no one... Like, you can't take anyone lightly, regardless of the situation. And you've got to be there on the day, because we showed them that if you don't show up, if you think it's just going to happen for you and that you're going to get carried.
Adam Tomlinson's going to be a good player all of a sudden.
So.
Well, we're playing the Pies and they're still paying half of Grundy's contract, so we kind of stick it up them 2 weeks in a row as well.
Yeah.
So with our midfield, like what's the balance of in terms of how they're performing together? Like what's more impactful? Is it Setterfield joining? Is it just the natural progression as they get older? Is it all Brad Scott? Like is it everything combined?
I think it probably is. Setterfield is obviously the massive inclusion because he's the big guy. He's gone up against the really, really good guys, whether it be Took, whether it be Clayton Oliver, runs with them head to head as opposed to a full-on tag. Like, he goes to them a stoppage, but he's not running around tagging the jumper. That's obviously a big improvement. I think Parish is just on that natural thing that he's just getting better as he gets older. Shield has always been good.
Shield is also getting better as he's older.
Yeah.
But I think Shield's probably just getting a good run of having his body right, because I feel like for his entire Essendon career, I know he had that first season was okay, and then he 1 or 2 years ago he had
got suspended
a good patch. But he just had periods where he was injured, out for half the year, out for long periods. But I think he's getting a good run out. Yep. And then Zach. He's always been this good.
But I think there's definitely, part of that Brad Scott part. Got Zach Merritt laying 7 tackles for the game. Like, that's massive for the guy who's getting the most disposals, and he's our preferred ball, preferred ball disposer. Yeah. They're just massive numbers. And then you got Setterfield behind him with 10 tackles himself. So
I'd love to compare our average midfielder tackle numbers, like Merritt, Parrish, and Setterfield this year to last year. I don't know if might be a bit hard to do right now, but it's great to see us being aggressive. And I think it started a little bit last year with players like Durham, with Redmond. We started to get a little bit of mongrel at stages last year, and Rutten spoke about obviously being blue-collar dons, but we're really seeing it now that we're not getting bullied.
Yeah. One unsung hero that we haven't mentioned is our midfield coach, Ben Jacobs. I think he might deserve a little bit of kudos as well, because he would definitely be involved. Again, it's a combination of many things, but he's the midfield coach now, and they look good.
Yeah,
they look really good. So I think props go to Ben for the work that he's doing with those guys as well.
And Drapes.
And Drapes.
And Flip.
Man, that was good. Man, that
so
was
good.
Look, obviously it was a huge result. Drapes and Flip were incredible. I feel like Drapes is obviously getting better as he goes, but are we getting close to that tipping point where he's going to become one of the best in the league? Like, how far away is that? Because I feel like it's going to happen at some stage in his career. It might be a couple of years from now, but like, he's flirting with it.
He's still so raw.
Yeah.
And I think he's still, like, as good as he played on the weekend, I think he's still a fair way off getting that kind of consistent element to his game. I don't think we've seen that yet. So I really do love his, the attacking side to his game, the fact that he actually does get forward and he does love kicking goals clearly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bit of a game changer, because that really makes you a weapon.
Yeah.
Nick Bryan doesn't have that, and realistically, those are the two guys who, from whenever onwards, they'll be our next, they'll be a combination for hopefully 10 years or so together. So,
yeah, because Flip's 32 in July.
Yeah.
And
which is pretty old for a ruckman. Like, I know somehow Goldie's still going around.
Yeah, like could go around again.
Yep.
Who knows? Depends on.
Well, he is that fittest player.
Yeah, he's that fittest player. Quickly, just for all the listeners out there, if you're one of those types who likes to update Wikipedia pages, can someone go change Andrew Phillips' picture from him and Carlton jumper to Essendon jumper? Because I was just looking him up yesterday, and I was like, I don't want to see this.
No.
He's a Dons man now. So if someone can go back and just change that for me, that'd be great. So just a quick one there.
It's been for a long time too.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be updated. Someone else I think is worth a shout out, and probably played his best game he's ever played for the club. But Sam Durham, the Duzz, was
unbelievable.
Yeah,
great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Hands that I didn't know he had.
Yeah.
Like some of the quick flashy hands, like in and out within a split second, were just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. Took a awesome contested mark, 9 or 10 contested possessions for the game, I think it was. 24 touches, 9 score involvements.
Yep.
Like, you think about some of those games that, like, very different players, but you think of some of those games that Caldwell has played this year where even though he's had lesser numbers, every possession has seemed so impactful. There was a run there where everything Durham touched resulted in us doing something. It was...
Yeah, and it felt like he's been one of those players where when our chain has got to him, he's slowed it down and he's taken 5 or 10 seconds after taking a mark. But I thought on the weekend he was moving it quickly and he was getting it on and he was looking up straight away, and that was really, really awesome to see, because that's the one thing I've thought a little bit. I'm like, he's tough and he's good and he brings mongrel, but is he going to be able to move it quickly? And I saw that on the weekend, which was awesome. And even things like, the stringer goal in the second or third quarter, whatever it was, that was because Duzz was like running full pelted. That was Duzz pressure doing that.
100%.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, he came in so raw. Like, I think it was his first game where he took out huge mark, super close to goal, and then he like shanked it. And you were just kind of like, oh damn, would have been an awesome first goal. But he's always just had that little bit of, like, there's something in him, which is obviously clearly why I got to identify going from Richmond VFL system. And I think it was always just about fine tuning this raw talent that he's got. And he's still got a long way to go. But, you know, pre-game, if you said to me Sam Durham was going to be a better winger than Langdon and Lockie Hunter for the day, I would have said, I don't think so, man. But he was.
Yep.
He was. He did everything that you want from a wingman, getting forward or back, being involved in the chain. You can't ask for much more.
No.
And I think he will be a massive beneficiary of, you know, a good system in place. Because given that he is, you know, such a young kid and he's got everything you could ask for in terms of intent and his attitude at the football and the contest, and he clearly loves hitting the body, like he said. So if you can kind of get him, and he also loves, you know, he throws everything he's got at it. So he loves, you know, loves flying for marks. Contested ball, no issues with that. So if we can also, and he's like clearly one of our fittest too. So if you can also get a bit of belief behind his ball use as well, then I think that'll be, you know, a massive game changer.
Yeah, exactly. I would say that the one thing he is still to improve on is kicking.
Yep.
Like of his 24-18 were by hand, and they were awesome, don't get me wrong, but I think being a reliable person to kick when it's a tighter game, when you just have to hit that tight target, I think that's the next thing for him to improve on. But yeah, Duzza was great. Let's talk about the backs because Jaden Laverty and Co is how I will put it, because I thought Lav was awesome.
He was so good.
Just a solid unit. Like Lav 4 intercept marks, Ridley 3, Dyson Heppel 3, 2 weeks in a row. Awesome games from Heps, and I'm really loving the role that he's playing back there. I think he's better suited to being than high up the ground for mine.
100%.
Fantastic.
And BZT just continue to be the best thing we've ever seen, despite having one leg for half the game, just about. And then, McGrath, 9 intercept possessions. But just as a unit, I think I said it the other week, but it just feels like they're working for each other so well. When it's your time to peel off to get to be the third man up, they're doing it. When it's your time to be there to help get the handball back into space so we can collect, they're doing it. Like they are working for each other. Like, again, I haven't seen a Essendon defensive group do in a long time.
Absolutely. I think I want to come back to Heppel, who you mentioned. It is really great to see him play 2 really good games in a row. And I think last year he got exposed a lot on the wing when the ball was just going end to end from oppositions, and his lack of pace or maybe his foot skills going the other way was exposing him. But now that we're congesting people a little bit more, we're slowing them down, and there's a lot more pressure around the ball, he's got enough time to have an impact and lay a really strong tackle or get a clean handball out to someone. And it's just, I think our game style is really suiting him. You mentioned it a little bit before about Duzza. I think it's the same for Heps in that sense.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. I felt like on the weekend he was definitely probably more defensive, like more of a halfback sort of role. Yep. And I think that suits him. I think that suits him. Like, obviously we can, there might be a game where, and it has happened before, where people identify him potentially as someone to exploit and they might have someone on they go to. But it didn't seem like that was the case on the weekend. And, I'd rather see him playing good footy than bad footy.
Yeah, I think it's almost more the case that these days that you can almost exploit slower players from your defence or from their forward line. So from our forward line. Yeah. Because there's so much impact as far as frontal pressure goes. And it's just so vital that you're able to lock it into the forward half of the ground. And, if you put Heps into our forward line, unfortunately, all of a sudden we look quite one pace. We spoke about this last week, Rob, but, we're not, I think we got the balance just about right on the weekend, but, you probably want it to be just a touch quicker than that even. And if you're putting, taking someone out and putting in Heppel there, then that really changes that dynamic completely. So I think you can get away with it in defence, but definitely not up forward anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Any more on the defence?
Ridley, just a quick one. Ridley was also really, really good. I think he's quietly building a really, really good season. Yeah,
he's big time back.
It's just so nice. It's so heartwarming seeing all these players play well and go to their potential. It's hard not to get excited. Yeah, it just feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one, Rob.
Go for it.
Slug Snelling.
The big Slug Snelling.
Slug. Yeah. He was a welcome addition, I thought.
He was awesome.
Really good. Great tackling pressure.
A real tone setter, you would say.
Used the ball really well. Very good. Very good.
I think a shrewd inclusion. Like Davey was out as managed, but and it might have upset some fans if we saw the words omission, even though he didn't deserve to be omitted anyway because he's a phenomenal talent. But I think looking at the game, looking at the conditions, looking at the team we were up against, I think it was a very, very smart move to bring him in for this game. And you could also say Nick Hind as well as the sub as well. I think these were two guys who came in who have been playing decent footy in the VFL, and Snelling in particular, like just everything you want from a small forward. Tackles, goals. That's it.
Slugs love the wet.
Slugs love the wet.
Yeah. Hindy's also the best full forward in the game. He's taking pack marks up there.
I know, that was
huge.
Insane.
Just incredible.
That was insane.
This is jumping ahead a little bit, but does Davey, I think Davey probably has to be there on Anzac Day. He's the sort of player that would tear up an Anzac Day, love an occasion. Does Menzie go out for Davey now?
No.
I think Menzie's been awesome.
He's been really, really good, but the weekend...
He was definitely quieter, but I'd just be loath to drop a player who's basically a first-year player. Just because, we've come off... he's had one out of 5 bad games.
Yeah.
And he's just been so good for the rest of the season, and it was tough conditions as well. So
definitely.
That's his first game without a goal, isn't it, for the year?
Yeah, because I backed him for one. So
that'll definitely do it. Any other players or things that you'd like to flag and give some props to, boys, before we move on? Oh, that was actually his second game without a goal. So he's 2 games without goals. He's 2 behind against the Giants. Anything else you guys want to flag?
I think, Stringer played an unselfish game, which I think was very, he was dragging May out of it. He was staying deep. He was trying to stay away from the contest, which was really team-oriented, and then saw him chasing a lot in defence and trying to lay tackles, which was awesome.
100 points and Stringer kicked 1 goal.
Yep. That's great.
He was doing some noticeable defensive efforts.
Yeah.
Really, really saw that.
And I think that's just not on Stringer in particular, but there's now a belief at least that's growing that if I put pressure on but the tackle isn't laid, that still makes an impact on that kick and it affects the next contest where, it was we might pull up in the past, but no one's pulling up. Everyone's like, if we keep this going, it's going to have an impact.
Yeah, I watched the game again today, and I can't remember what quarter it was, but there was one where Caldwell ran and just pushed the Melbourne player off it, and then boom, straight to our player turnover, and back we went.
Yep.
And that's the exact kind of thing you're talking about.
Who's leading the BNF right now? I know it's early in the season.
BZT.
Yeah.
He'd be up there.
Yeah, Parrish. And Merritt and Statistical would probably be in the mix.
See, I don't reckon Merritt had that great of a start to the year.
Yeah. Look,
last couple of weeks he's picked up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Parrish then.
Yep.
I think Parrish would be in the hunt. I think Setterfield would probably be in the hunt.
I reckon Shield would be right up
Shield's doing great. Yeah.
Menzie would have featured pretty well early.
Yep.
Redmond. I reckon.
Redmond.
Flip maybe.
There's a toughie. Which is great.
No one really understands how the Crichton Medal voting works. So
I think the coaches awards, the coaches votes kind of give you a bit of an inclination of where they're going. So.
Yeah. This week's coaches votes. I'll pull up
Merritt
for you.
and Draper.
Yeah, so Merritt 8, Draper 8, McGrath 4, Parrish 4,
McGrath.
Langford 2, Durham 2, Shield 1, and then I think Petrarca got 1. But
yeah, he did.
Essendon don't put the opposition on.
Isn't it telling that Clayton Oliver didn't get a vote
with 41 touches?
Mm.
Yeah. So
48 of the worst you are ever likely to see.
so I'll give you the overall total in the comp for Essendon players. Merritt has 20, Parrish 19, Redmond 17, Draper 10, Stringer 10, Langford 9, Perkins 8, Setterfield 6, Martin 5. Also kicked some seriously good goals, Nick Martin. Just while we're on Ricky, Jai Caldwell 2, Durham 2, Shield 1. So that's where they stand. The overall
Shield
coaches.
1.
Shield's only had 1.
Jesus.
Shield's only had 1.
Yeah, stiff.
Yeah,
Really stiff.
High expectations for him. Mert, do you have any more goods you'd like to flag before we talk?
Yeah, I thought
MRO?
Laverty played a really good game.
Yeah. Laverty was awesome.
Yeah, he was pretty disappointing, I thought, against the Saints a couple of weeks ago. So it's good to see him kind of back in form.
Yep, well said. Let's talk about the MRO, our dear friend. So Merritt has been offered a 1-match suspension for his sling tackle on Tom Sparrow. That's who it was, Tom Sparrow.
It just wasn't a sling though.
Yeah, so
slinging motion.
on the tackle. So how do you read it?
I think Michael Christian's a dog.
We know that.
He's
but
dog of the week again.
Yeah, but how do you read the incident and what sort of played out? What's your position?
Who knows? Because they're just so inconsistent with it. But given that it's an Essendon player and given that he was cited and we actually have to go through this process, I think the odds are against him. And if you look at Will Day last week, the odds are probably against him. But yeah, who knows?
Joel?
Yeah, I think with how hot they're on this particular thing at the moment, that's what really worries me the most. I agree. I don't think he slung him to the ground. He kind of fell with him and landed that way almost. He's a much bigger bloke that he's trying to get to the ground. Oh, I guess not a much bigger bloke, but yeah, I just don't think with the focus on these types of tackles that he's a chance of getting off it, which is, there was clearly no intent to injure. He was just trying to bring a bloke to ground.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with a lot of these tackles that they are still partly a football thing. You're trying to tackle someone, you're trying to bring them to ground to stop them getting rid of it. Like, obviously there are circumstances where some blokes just dump people, and we know that. But, Taylor Adams has been flagged as well for one, and he's been up for a suspension for Collingwood. Same as Merritt for next week. And
watch Adams get off and Merritt go off.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
the influence and the impact that the media actually have on this is just an absolute disgrace. Like, there's just such a concentration on it. Like, commentators talking about it. It's picked up by 4 Collingwood supporting journalists in the media on Twitter. And then Merritt's all of a sudden cited.
Yeah.
Like, it's outrageous.
Yeah, I know. I think, look, it is the action that they're all really up in arms about, but I think the strength of it is incredibly weak. I think he still has one arm free. He hasn't pinned him completely. Tom Sparrow is a slightly larger man than Zach Merritt. Not by much, but slightly. It's very different to if this was, Laverty or Setterfield absolutely just burying some guy. Like,
Laverty, he almost should have got a week for Clayton Oliver bouncing off him. That was dangerous for Clayton.
Yeah.
Clayton should have got a week for attempting that.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go glass empty, because we love a bit of darkness here on the Sash. Let's assume he gets rubbed out, which we don't want to happen. Let's assume that happens. So how does things set up for Anzac Days? Because we've obviously flagged a few times on the show about how Brad has just gone, these are my 4 mids who go to the centre ball bounce, and that's it. If Merritt is out of that, who is joining Setterfield, Shield, and Parrish? Is it one guy? Is it a combination of guys? Where do you guys see it? Who's next in line to actually get some proper midfield minutes in there? Mert?
I think, I don't know. I'm in kind of 2 minds about it, because I think Hobbsy's obviously he's got to come in. Whether we play Caldwell then in the middle and have him kind of take over that position, I guess. It's a bit different because he won't be a designated kicker like Merritt is. And then have Hobbsy play Caldwell's kind of role at the moment. Or we just get Hobbsy straight in there, or we get Archie in there, or I'm not too sure which way we play that, because I actually feel like when Hobbsy's played up forward in the in the past, he's actually been all right at it.
Mhm.
Like he's actually had shots on goal. He
Yeah.
hasn't kicked a huge amount of goals, but he's had the opportunities to. So, I think it's a real toss-up.
What do you reckon, Joel?
Yeah, I would agree that it's Hobbs in, but I don't think it will be like someone attending 91% of centre bounces. I think it will be a rotation, and maybe it'll be a little bit of figure it out. And if someone's going really well, then they stay in there. A bit of Paco in there every now and then as well.
Paco's so metal.
Well, there's the thing, because it's Hobbs, Caldwell, Perkins are the probably three ones you'd look at. Paco, and then if it wasn't for the fact that we had such an issue with key forwards being fit at the moment, I would say Kyle Langford is the other one. But considering Jones got subbed out being injured, I would almost rule Kyle out for the fact that we probably have to keep him forward.
But do Caldwell and like anyone else that's not played purely midfield, have they been practicing in this role? Are they going to be able to slot into the system, and play that position? Because Hobbs is obviously a midfielder. He's a midfielder in the VFL. He's been training with midfielders. Like, has Caldwell been training with the midfielders? Like, I don't know, because
I don't go to training. I don't know.
Merritt's been very, very good defensively, and we can bring someone in who's a pure midfielder, but do they know what that means in the system?
I'll throw one from left field at you. Nick Martin.
Ooh.
His work in traffic is pretty good.
It is.
Pretty good.
His disposal
is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, I personally don't think we need to, and that's why I've had this discussion with other mates, and I'm of the opinion that we've got these big contested ball winners who really are suited to that role.
Yep.
Straight in the guts, and I don't think we lose anything by playing Martin on a wing or on a high half forward flank like we have been doing.
I'm just talking about purely for this week if Zach Merritt is not playing.
Yeah, I'm just not sure it actually goes to our strengths that much.
Okay.
As long as we can, we've still got a bit of breakaway speed around the contest, and, although we've got the positioning rule now, as soon as that centre bounce goes, and that kind of goes out the window anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't see any reason why we couldn't play him up and around the contest like we have been.
Yeah.
So he's getting the ball in his hands, uses the ball so well. We want him delivering it into our forward 50. I just don't think it needs to necessarily be with him starting in the centre.
Oh, that's fair.
He was really, really good. He was someone who at the start of the season I was like, he's been a bit quiet the first few rounds, but hasn't he just come back into form these last couple of weeks as well?
He's been really good.
I saw his player rankings on what the article that posted in our group chat have gone from 8.5, whatever AFL player rankings mean, or player stats, to 12.5 something. And, for him to be 50% better in their eyes than last year over the last couple of weeks is fantastic. Like, he was good last year. I don't know how he could have got 50% better in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. While we're on the rankings, so compared to last year, at this point of the season, and obviously we had a tough start to the draw, yada, yada, yada. So we were 16th for points against. We were 16th for opposition scores per inside 50. We were 16th for points against from turnover. Right now, we're third for points against, third for opposition scores per inside 50, and we're second from points in turnover. Obviously, points against does help that we've played some, let's face it, crap sides.
Mm-hmm.
Those other two, though, I think are massive stats. And look, it'll steady as the season comes on, and we might not stay up there in that top things, but those are the stats that back up what we've been saying about how the structure's better, how everything seems to be working better, and it's not this flash in the pan, some bloke had a crazy game, or, Connor McKenna ran off half back and did something crazy like in the worst fold days. Like, it seems like we're betting down something that will stack up, hopefully, for the next couple of seasons.
Mate, we just beat the flag favourites.
Yeah.
Like, we're incredibly mint.
Yeah. Well, I just got a premiership tattoo.
They can't see us losing the game.
April premiers. I'm not sure if you guys got yours on the weekend, but
Baby Bombers.
Yeah.
2023. 1993 to 2023.
Yeah. Gather Round premiers 2023. So far we're undefeated in Gather Round. Like, that's pretty huge. So
I got a West Lakes tat.
West Lakes. Shout out to everyone in that phenomenal part of the world.
Footy.
Do you guys want to do
Shout out to Sudi.
do some hot takes?
Let's do it.
Hot takes. As always, a big language warning to everyone for the hot takes. Thank you for everyone who sent them through. There were so many we sent through. Particular thanks to all the people who had choice words about our friend Adrian from the debrief. They were awesome. A lot of it will never see the light of day, but I loved it. I loved your insults.
And he agreed wholeheartedly.
Yeah, we share those sentiments.
Yeah, we should love it. Love your work. People who send them in and are screaming, you have to understand that although I love your passion, audibly it sounds terrible, so I'm probably not going to play it. But thank you for everyone. There were so many to get through today. But yeah, let's go through them. First one is from Zachy T. Thank you, Zachy.
Holy fuck, boys. That game was one for the ages. That goal by Langford to put us further in the lead. I don't know, man. That just got me so going. It was hard to really pop the lid off, in that last quarter while historically we can still lose a 5-goal lead. But fuck me. That win, that was incredible. That was such a good game to watch. And holy fuck. Beating the Dees in the wet when we're historically shit was so good to see. I am full bottle for the rest of the season. I wish I was at that game. That is so good, and I can't wait to see them over in the West twice this year. Go on the Plains.
Oh, thank you, Zach.
Yeah,
thank you, Zachy.
good start.
Beautiful way to start. Love the emotion there. And yeah, 2 games in the West this year for all our Perth fans. The next one is from Lurker. Thank you, Lurker.
Dons demonstrate deafness during downpour. Draper dominates. Detractors downcast. Doubters delighted. Demons devoed. Dickheads.
Lurker, if you're available to do any voiceovers or book readings, might have to hit you up because he's got a beautiful, beautiful deep voice there.
And great alliteration might be.
Alliteration, yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of poetry.
Yep.
We love a bit of poetry here on the Sash. We also love our friend who sends us in our musical contributions, and I'm assuming you've been up to date with these. So we've got another classic, another song that we don't own any of the copyright to whatsoever.
You should put the CD together at the end of the season.
Yeah,
Sash
I might have to.
live.
I might have to. I was thinking maybe I'll just get this guy to do a live, be at the live event. He can just play songs. All right, this one calls "Here Comes the Dons."
The lid's off. Little darling, we've had some long, cold, lonely seasons. And not to jinx it, it feels like years since we've been in the fall. Here come the dons, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here come the dons, and I say, the lid's off. Little darling, the smiles returning to our faces. Bradley Scott, it seems like years since we've been here. Here come the dons, doo-doo-doo. Here come the dons, and I'll say, are we back?
Beautiful.
Wow.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Can we maybe request a song? Like, he's clearly got away with the Weird Al Donovic Don takes.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind like
Weird Al Donovic. That was me.
I wouldn't mind Friends in Low Places,
Okay.
maybe but a Don's cover. You guys got any songs that you really like that maybe could be Don's covers?
I reckon like like bit of like sitting on the dock of the bay. I reckon,
Oh, yeah.
I reckon that's one that you could very donify.
Yep.
I mean, otherwise that'll just go to like some old like crap like emo metal from back when I was a kid.
okay.
I reckon that'd hit a nerve.
Perfect by Simple Plan.
Yeah, not quite. What are you, Merting requests?
No, I was thinking kind of more Party Boy 69 techno kind of stuff, but I don't think I can name any of the songs on here.
I've got Don's on my. Yep.
Yeah. I know. It's hard. I feel like it's hard to do a parody of a song that doesn't have any words and it's just, throbbing bass. So anyway. Next one, we'll keep moving. Patrick. Thank you, Patrick.
I've got 5 simple words for you boys. Rip the fucking lid off.
Straight to the point.
Lid's gone, mate.
Straight to the point. Love it, Patrick. Next one is from Dons are up and about.
Hey boys, keep up the good work with the pod. Absolutely loving it. Boy, I cannot be more stoked as an Essendon supporter. Just seeing the intent, the way they're attacking the ball, the way they're attacking the man. I actually can't remember the last time I've actually seen that. Just the difference that Brad Scott's done with our defensive plan all over the ground. Absolutely amazing. And to do it to a team like Melbourne, who are tipped to be top 4, couldn't be happier right now. Even Setterfield, 10 tackles, Snelling, 10 tackles, and even Zach Merritt leading the way as captain with the 7 tackles as well. So you can see that they're putting in the defensive effort. Even String Boy having a couple of defensive efforts there in the forward half, which was awesome to see as well. All right, keep it up, Dons, and keep the pod going.
Beautiful. Love that one. Next one is from, where is it? Darby. Thank you, Darby.
How's it going, you mongrels? Darby here. Pretty long one. Hopefully Mert is not dead because the pic you guys put up on Facebook, the bloke can even focus on the bloody camera. I'm surprised he even made it to the Facebook pic at the end. Said he, I imagine how shit carded he was when we bloody got the fucking dub. Rob seemed pretty rude as well.
It's true.
Fuck me dead. That was an unreal match to watch. Had me squealing and laughing like a cold start in the car. The intensity that we applied was just yummy. I'd point out how good our players were, but they're just too many to choose from. Just great all-around effort. Fucking bloody... Oh, yeah. Listen to the debrief podcast that you did last week. Well, he came on, the fucking deal. Bloke didn't even give us a chance. Well, debrief that one, you big stinky. I'm one of the blokes that seems to have a phallic reference on every time on the hot takes, but I didn't do it this time. Dick.
Oh, well done, Darby.
Big Stinky. I like that.
Big Stinky.
That's great.
Next time he messages me, I'm just going to say, hey, Big Stinky.
All right, Big Stinky.
It's definitely
all right, a few more. Rory. Thank you, Rory.
Hi guys, it's Rory from Edinburgh, Scotland here. Absolutely incredible victory. Last week, like a male porn star, we had to rely on our massive package to get the job done. But this week, just pure effort, fight, guts, determination, just bullied them at points. It was actually really refreshing to see that from our team for a change. So hopefully take that in the next week and the rest of the season. Go the Dons.
Love that. Love a bit of overseas flavour.
Yep.
Rory from Edinburgh.
Thanks, Roars.
Thanks for sending that one through. We'll keep moving because we're going to get to Paul soon. Unky Herb. Love our good mate Herb.
Hey guys, just a quick one. 2 weeks ago, I publicly called for the arrest of Dyson Heppel. And I just wanted to say one thing. Dyson, I know you're listening. I'm sorry. I was wrong. We've been through so much over the years. We've been through, good. We've been through, she'll be right, yeah. We've been through laughter after close, heartbreaking defeats. But maybe that's just what we had to go through to get to this point. Dyson, I couldn't be happier with the way you're playing right now. and I couldn't be prouder. And again, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Herb. Absolutely beautiful.
Echo your sentiments.
Next one's from Ziggy. Thank you, Ziggy.
Hey, boys. What a win. For the first time in over a decade, we actually saw cohesive, system-based football with some effort thrown in for good measure. So hopefully we're finally on the right track. Also, it's cost me on my big footy account writing off Dyson Heppel in recent weeks. He's happy to say that he's proved me wrong and he's playing good footy for the moment. Go Dons.
Love it, Ziggy. Make sure you contain yourself on big footy. They're pretty ruthless over there, I've heard. Who else we got? Braden from SA, who we hung out with on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boys, how was that last night? I tell you what, the Adelaide Hill was alive with the sound of the mighty fucking Bombers. What a night in Adelaide that was. Cannot believe it. How good was Shield, Parrish, Merritt through the middle? Could not fault them. How shit was Kingo? Every time he went for a piss, Melbourne snuck in for a cheeky goal. Absolute dog of the week. Anyway, in all seriousness, lads, cannot tell you how happy I was to be on the hill on Saturday night with you, just talking shit, talking footy. I had a great time. Hopefully I see you next week in Melbourne. I'm heading over for the Anzac Day game, so hopefully we can get a win over those bastards over there. Anyway, up the plains.
Up the plains.
Up the plains.
He is 100% correct. Every time Kingo went to the toilet, Melbourne kicked a couple of goals. I'm not even joking. Every time. So could have been more Kingo if he just held it in. 2 to go. This one's from Dupree or Dupre. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Time Magazine, you idiots. How can you make a list of the top 100 most influential people in the world and not put Brad Scott and Kyle Langford on there? You morons. And speaking of morons, do you need to be missing half a brain to be a match review officer? If Zach Merritt got a week for that tackle, then the bird off Tinder needs to get 3 weeks for what you did to me on Friday night. Anyways, fucking hell. Up the plains.
Very good, very good, very good. Last one to wrap us up for an evening before we take a break. This one's from Rem. Thank you, Rem.
Hey, boys. Love the podcast. What a fucking win on Saturday. I can't remember the last time that I've seen a Bombers team outnumber the opposition across almost every line. At defence, midfield, forward line, there was always Bomber players there. They fucking gut-runned all day. They tackled all day. The team defence, I mean, I've never seen Essendon deployed team defence in the way we did. I do want to give a special mention to Andrew Phillips. I thought he was best on ground on Saturday. He just fucking bullied Grundy all day. He confused the fuck out of the Dees defence, especially when BZT went down. He clunked some really critical marks down the line. He kicked goals. He tackled. And when the game was there to be won, he was critical for us. I think he's outstanding. He's had an outstanding 2 weeks, but the Melbourne game was definitely the best game he's played for the club. Really looking forward to the challenge of Collingwood. I think we're a reasonable chance, especially if we turn up the way we did against Melbourne. And fuck the Pies, honestly. Just fuck them. Go the Plains.
Nice. My watermelons have gone straight through me.
That was beautiful, Rem. Joel's not even waiting us to take a break. He's literally just walking out to go to the toilet. Can't hold it in. All right, well, there we go. Rem, that was beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sending them through. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Paul Cousins for the VFL wrap. This halftime break is brought to you by Liquorland. Pop into your local Liquorland today and pick up all your favourite drinks, like the recently launched VB Extra bottles. Mert, have you tried the new Victoria Bitter Extra?
Absolutely, Rob. They're
Yeah?
fantastic.
Yeah?
They're bloody fantastic.
Yeah, I'm actually yet to try them. They're on my radar now. I popped down to my local Liquorland a couple of weeks ago and they weren't there, so I'm due just to pop back in again, I think, to pick them up. Have you had one, Joel?
No, but maybe have an extra look down there. They might be restocked.
Oh, an extra look. Gee, that's good.
I reckon they must have sold out, Rob.
That's a chance.
Very, very popular, those ones.
Very, very popular. Liquorland have all your drinks for when the siren calls. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly. Welcome back, everybody. It's that time again on a Monday for the VFL wrap with our great friend Paul Cousins. Paul, we missed you last week, so it's great to have you back on. How's things?
Yeah, sorry about that, lads. I was laid out with COVID last week, believe it or not. But yeah, things are better this week. I can speak at least, so that's a bonus.
That
So
helps.
we'll see how we go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Before we delve into the Casey side, I might just get you maybe very quick summation for people who are curious about what happened in the Bull Ants game 2 weeks ago. Obviously, you would have got over the market for a Borek and some dim sins, but how was the game against the Bull Ants?
It was good. The game actually got moved, so you were fortunate that you missed it.
There you go.
We ended up at Port Melbourne. So I'm sure there's some good dimmies near Port Melbourne as well, but yeah, no, we were at Port Melbourne. So that one was interesting, actually. It was really tight for 3.5 quarters. We managed to sort of kick away a bit in the last quarter and ended up with what looked a pretty comfortable win, but it was very, very close all day. They were really competitive, the Bull Ants. So, yeah, that was a good, tight contest. We were able to get away with a good win. Voss did some damage again, and a few others. He didn't have his kicking boots on last week, but he still hit the scoreboard a bit. But yeah, the usual suspects were all pretty good. But yeah, well, certainly better than the weekend just gone, where we unfortunately went down to Casey by a bit in the end, by about 40 points in the end. So yeah, a bit of a disappointing result on the weekend for us.
They've had a pretty strong side in the VFL for quite a few years, Paul. So, was it just some experienced guys from Casey doing the work?
It was. Yeah, they, as you say, they've had a very strong program for a number of years. They've really made an emphasis on their program, particularly over the last sort of 2 or 3, 4 years. And they've reaped the benefits of that. They won the flag last year under a former Bomber coach and Mark Corrigan, who's now moved up to Geelong. But yeah, they had some really good experienced players in, guys like Luke Dunstan and Josh Shackey and a few others who I'm sure the listeners will have heard plenty about over the journey, who are really strong players at that level. Can get caught in between a little bit. Levels where they're probably a bit too good for VFL and then tend to struggle a bit when they go up for whatever reason. But yeah, they had a very strong, experienced group in, and they were able to probably, like, it was pretty dirty conditions, which we should be used to out there, let's face it. But the rain came in and the wind came in a bit, and they were able to, with some pretty strong bodies and probably a bit cleaner ball use than us, particularly out of their midfield. I thought they used it a fair bit better than we did. And Shackey was able to hit the scoreboard forward. I think he ended up with 4, maybe 5. And provided a real focal point for them, and their mids were able to sort of get forward on ours a bit and do some damage as well. So, yeah, look, it was... We were certainly in the game for the majority of it. They kicked away a bit in the last quarter, a bit like we did the week before, but we were certainly in the game. But, yeah, they were just a bit too good for us at the end of the day.
Joel here, Paul. Obviously, potential suspension hanging over Zach Merritt at the moment. There's been a bit of discussion already about Hobbs on this podcast, and I'm sure there will be over the next few days. How's this past fortnight been?
Oh, it's been good. He's certainly found a whole heap of footy. Look, he's still working on his ball use. I think it was a little bit hit and miss again on the weekend, but again, they were really poor conditions. But he probably, particularly in the first half, probably would have liked to have improved his kicking a little bit. It was certainly better. I saw it in the second half, and overall, I sort of pick out a negative there. Obviously, he was a very good player for us on the day, and he had a whole heap of clearances. I think he had the most clearances on the ground. He had a ton of footy and, pressured the contest well and also spread pretty well. So he had another good day. Again, as we talked about on here, I think a few weeks ago, it's all about does he sort of fit the role that they want someone to play when he goes up, or are there people already in those roles? And, I would imagine, without having any clue what the coaches are going to do, I would imagine that Jai Caldwell might maybe get a few more midfield minutes with Zach Merritt going out. If he doesn't, I think he's, whether he challenges or how he goes with that, or it remains to be seen. But I think Jai's probably been biding his time a little bit in that sort of in between forward link role, which he's at times, I think in the first few weeks played really well. He probably just hasn't quite been able to find the footy the last few weeks, but that's kind of the nature of that role a little bit. He's between the lines and not able to sort of influence right at the coalface, which I think is his go-to. So, whether they might look to give him some more time in there, or Jake Stringer some more time in there, or even a Kyle Langford or someone like that some more time in there. It's really difficult to say, but certainly Hobbsy's, putting his hand up with in a similar way to what Paddy Voss has that we've talked about again, over the course of the start of the year. All those guys can do is perform at VFL level, and they've certainly been doing that. And I think it's difficult to upset what's been a really positive start at AFL level. It's difficult to sort of drop too many blokes or whatever. But as you say, if an opportunity arises, as may this weekend with Zach possibly going out, maybe Hobbsy does get that look in. Certainly, he's done everything he can to earn it.
And Massimo also returned to the VFL. How was his day? Whereabouts on the ground was he playing?
Yeah, he played back. He played quite well, I thought. He sort of looked a bit of a cut above with ball in hand, as he does, but particularly in those conditions, it tends to stand out more, doesn't it, when you get a bit of a dirty day and you get one or two blokes who can really use it well. It stands out from the pack, and I thought Mass did that for us well on the weekend. Certainly some of his use coming out of the back half and with a bit of that punchy sort of rebound stuff that he does pretty well, I think went well. I don't know how many times he found it in the end, probably, I would guess, low 20s. And certainly was able to bounce forward a bit with the footy as well. So he had a good day. He's been in a bit of that awkward position, as a couple of others have as well, in being the sub at times at AFL level, and then sort of not playing at all for a week and then back to the VFL. So it's probably been tricky for him, along with a couple of other guys who have done similar in Will Snelling, I think, is one, and Nick Hines another, and guys who have played the sub role then sometimes had a full week off because they've been a carryover emergency or whatever, then played VFL. That's a difficult thing for guys to do. It's hard not to know where you're playing or what level you're playing at, or if you're playing. So, I think it shows a great deal of maturity for a kid like Mass, who hasn't been in the system long and is only young, to come down and acquit himself really well at the VFL level after, a couple of weeks of the sort of into the AFL, into the sub role, not playing at all, into the VFL. I think last week he was a carryover emergency, so got to our game after half-time and didn't start till after half-time. And so it's been pretty interrupted for him. So for him to come out and play pretty well like that, I think, is a good pointer to his maturity.
Now, another player, Paul, we haven't spoken about, I don't think at all this year, young Alistair Lord, developing along. He's a very small guy, as we know. How's he handling VFL life?
I actually think he's taken a bit of a step this year and done some really nice things. He's put on a bit of size. Doesn't look quite the young kid that he probably did last year at times. I think he sort of probably feels a bit more comfortable out there among the bigger bodies and that now that he's a bit bigger. And I think he acquitted himself pretty well on the weekend and has throughout the course of the year so far. He had a few nice sort of dashing runs, which is kind of what he's known for. I think competed really well from a defensive point of view as well. So I think he's come on. Lordy, I know he's probably been a pretty low profile sort of draftee for us, and that happens at times when you when you get a young guy who's a little bit of a development sort of not project, but a development player who's got some work to do, obviously, when he gets drafted to play AFL footy. But I think under the radar, he's really come on a bit this year and shown some really good signs and continued with them on the weekend.
Now, the VFL Bombers are taking on Collingwood VFL this Sunday. I believe it's midday at Vic Park, if that is correct, Paul?
I need to check the time, but I know it is Vic Park because we had a bit of a change there. It was going to be at Olympic Park, but yeah, we've moved out to
Vic Park's a lot better than Olympic Park. Yeah,
Vic Park rules.
Yeah.
Like the playing at those suburban grounds is fantastic. It always takes me back to trying out for an under-15 Vic state team at Vic Park when I was about 13 years old. So I'm always happy to wander out there. And, the facilities are good. The crowd gets out there on a Sunday or, whatever day we end up playing there. But, they light the barbies up on the hill and it's always a good day out. So I highly recommend, you can bring the dog and do all that and stand up on the hill. It's a really good day out there.
It certainly is. Paul, and the IGA's just around the corner, so you can BY a few cans as well, which we love.
Wow.
Which we love.
I definitely didn't.
You can't, Paul, but the listeners can.
No. But if there happens to be a can flying around
after a win, definitely. Paul, brilliant with your time as always. We'll leave you for the evening so you can enjoy the holiday that we've rudely interrupted this evening, and we'll touch base next week after the VFL game and hopefully a positive result.
Very politely interrupted, boys. There was nothing rude about it. It was all very polite.
Thank you.
That'll be good. Hopefully we have a good win.
Beautiful. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks,
guys. Cheers.
Bye.
There we go. The great man, Paul Cousins. Once again on a Monday. Beautiful insight into the VFL.
Voice.
It is. I missed him last week.
Yeah.
Wasn't the same.
No.
Wasn't the same. We're going to look to wrap things up, Jolie. Mert's flown the coop because apparently he has a job interview tomorrow. So if you happen to be interviewing Mert for a job tomorrow, well, I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully his boss doesn't listen to the podcast.
Imagine that, like walking in a job interview and they're like, "You're that dickhead from the podcast.
Are you from the Sash?
Yeah, you're that idiot.
You're hired.
Yeah, or not hired, So, bit of housekeeping, everyone. So, due to the calendar that we have Anzac Day, so there will be no preview show this Thursday. I may have an episode coming with a guest, but I'm trying to lock that down. So, could happen, might not happen. Sunday night, I'll be doing a premium show, or maybe it's just an open preview. I'm not quite sure. I might do both. I'll see what's going on. But I'll be doing a recording with some of the gents from the Pies Nation podcast to preview Anzac Day, which will be a little bit of fun. And then on Wednesday, we'll have the review of Anzac Day. And then the next day, I'll be previewing the Geelong game, which is 5 days away. It's a lot of pod.
Yeah.
I'm also planning on coming to your event on Sunday, which I forgot about, and I have to do that into pod, so I may be full.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anyone's interested, Rob, you can pick him up at the VFL midday. You can roll over to Howler, where I'm DJing with a couple of my friends on Sunday this week, and then obviously you can go have an interesting pod after that as well. But if anyone, Dons fans, wants to come down and see a Sash member spin a few records, I'd love to have you there.
Will there be footy and techno?
I wholeheartedly approve a live stream of the VFL game at the same time, so that's all good.
Footy and techno. We love that. We love that. Joel, thank you for coming in. It's good to see you.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Listeners, thanks as always for your support. If you want to become a premium member, you can find the link in our show description or on any of our social channels, and you can sign up there, support the show. You get extra content, which is great. Merch is going well. The beanies are flying at the moment.
Great beanies.
I think we're getting very close to having to buy some more. That's how many we've sold, which is amazing. Thank you, everyone who supports. Scarves as well. The caps are in the works. I need to call my guy and find out.
Call your cap guy and find out.
I need to find out where they're at because they were meant to be here soon, but I'll touch base with that. Yeah. And then, of course, we've also got all the other stuff like the T-shirts and things. I mean, I don't know how I'm meant to do this. Maybe if you can describe what I'm wearing, Joel, because I'm going to turn around so the camera can see me, but I can't talk into the mic. So if you can describe.
That's Tipper being Tipper with the speedies on, just looking absolutely fantastic. Can you actually not turn back around? Can you finish the pod looking away? Because I don't want to have to ever look at something that's not this.
Maybe you can sign off then, and I'll just stand up with my back to it.
Thank you again, Sash listeners, for a fantastic week. Everyone tune in to the preview pod from Sunday. Goodbye, Tipper. I love you. Hope to see you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Sash, and thanks to Liquorland, who are proud partners of the podcast. Liquorland have all your drink needs for when the siren calls. Liquorland, from the land you love. Please drink responsibly.